Yo, peace. It is a decent Bishop. I'm chilling somewhere in the UK. I'm always Area 51ing it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not always really going to be clear about where I am, but I am in the UK and I'm having a blast. I wanted to talk about friendship, which is ironic because this wasn't planned. This just happened, right? I hope those of you that are into Stoicism, like I am into Stoicism, that you're journaling. Don't forget to journal. This is my Stoic journal. I'm about to jump into it right after I finish. And this, for my jiu-jitsu nerd homies, is my jiu-jitsu journal. I'll explain how I use this differently. And I also have this journal that I do a lot of writing, right? You can see I'm trying to comb through the thoughts in my brain. But I really did want to talk about friendship today. And I wanted to talk about friendship because one of my homies, shout out to Ross had some questions about friendship, and he's a young G, you know what I'm saying? But I actually, in 2024, I lost some really good friends. In fact, I'll say over the last few years, I've lost a few, not many. Most of my friends are long-term friends. What do I mean by long-term friends? I mean, most of my friends are people that I've known over 10 or 15 years. But each year, you may lose a few people. So while I was in Leeds doing a lot of jiu-jitsu training about a year ago, I came across a fantastic book by Cicero, called How to Be a Friend. It was an audiobook, and I'm blown away by Cicero. Oh my God, Cicero's work has blown my mind. Now, I don't think he's technically a Stoic. I don't think he's a Stoic, but his book, How to Be a Friend, is important, especially to me. Why is it important to me? Because you know why? Because I have a lot of codependent under vibes going on. And that's because I was an only child who always wanted a brother or sister. And what ended up happening is through the course, especially, young as I can remember, but even till now, man, one of my biggest flaws is I overvalue my friends. Friends who do not see me, care about me, or reflect the loyalty that I give them. And I break my own heart. I've broken my own heart 100 times. And recently, right towards the end of the year, 2 people that I considered very long-term friends, one who went back as far as the 80s, revealed themselves as unworthy of my friendship. And it was easier to deal with because of this book. And so when Ross reached out to me, and let me tell you right now, if you're here on Substack, if you are whatever platform you find me on, if you have a question you'd like me to address here on Bishop Chronicles, I will try my best. Not because I have the answers, but because I'm an empath and I care. Not trying to be a corny, person, but I'm an empath and I care. I'm an INFJ, right? I might be classified as a Sigma. That's what people tell me. But anyway, my point is my empathy gets me in trouble. So I'm sharing this for Ross, but I'm also sharing this for other people because as adults, especially when you start to get older, it hurts when friendships fall apart. It totally hurts when friendships fall apart. And so to kind of navigate these things, I went through this book on Cicero, who my friend's brother put me on to, Cicero's work. I had totally missed it, and now I'm just one of the biggest fans of his work. So many of his audiobooks are on Audible or Google Books on the cheap, and they're dynamic. But let's look into this friendship thing. So in terms of cultivating friendship, right? He says that, you have to build your foundation of friendship on virtue, right? Like, what is important to you? What are your morals? How do you function? And how do you make that work for you? You know what I'm saying? If you're unable to do that effectively, then you are going to suffer. Because if you don't know your moral code, you won't be able to assess the moral codes of people around you, right? And hopefully the friends that you have will help you elevate one another's character. Are they making you better mentally, physically, spiritually, socially? Are they making you better? And I don't mean that this is a transactional thing. Are you improving each other on a genuine level, right? You don't want to have friendships based purely on utility. This person does X for me, so I do Y for them, because that is not a friendship, right? Obviously, trust and honesty play a huge role in this. And your friends should be able to hear difficult truths. This doesn't mean that they agree with them, but it does mean that they don't brand you a hater just because you don't agree with some decision they've made. And it also means that you don't brand them a hater or someone who doesn't really care about you because of the same situation. I really have always been someone who believed that, there should be an obligation to be honest counsel, even when it's uncomfortable. Uncomfortable truths are a big part of friendships, right? Coming out of some tough relationships and things like that, sometimes you got to hear things that are unfun, right? And you also want to be able to be reliable, right? This doesn't mean that every friend is there for everything, but reliability is a big deal. Now, the other thing that he mentions in regards to friendship are the limits of loyalty, and this is where I needed to work, right? He talked about never asking a friend to violate their own principles. Like, if you know your friend is Jewish, you shouldn't be asking them to share a ham sandwich with you just because you're hella sad and you love ham sandwiches. You know the deal, right? Unethical actions, right? Like, if he's really your friend, you're not going to ask him to hold that gun because you know it has a body on it. And if he gets popped, he's getting thrown in the clean for a body. This happened to me. Set clear boundaries, right? While maintaining compassion. Like, sometimes you can't do something for a friend that you would like to do because if it's money, you don't have the money. If it's like a plug inside your job or through some social setting, if you try to do that thing, it may hurt your relationship with the person who is the plug for you. You may know they just be asking too much for you, right? So understanding that, there are limits to what you can do for people, but you still do things for them from a place of love and care, right? And you can set clear boundaries while maintaining compassion. Beyond that, right? Choose your friends deliberately and test them slowly. My friends, if I'm honest, they have different thresholds, right? Some friends I know, if I'm going somewhere and it might get dangerous, those aren't the people that I'm going to ask for financial advice necessarily, or vice versa. Sometimes the dude with the financial advice is also down to cock the Glock. Not saying that that's my life. I'm just trying to explain some things, right? And that true friendship usually requires some shared experiences, right? But this too can be an illusion because you can come from the same area, but the guy have totally different morals. You can come from the same kind of place, and then, it's not really the same. It's not really the same when push comes to shove, right? And also remember that the quality of your connection matters more, right, than the quantity. Let me give you an example. I just saw my boy Faisal from way back, West Coast journalism, hip hop. I'm talking about 92, 93. I ain't seen him forever. I saw him like 3 days ago before I did my jiu-jitsu seminar at Leicester Shoot Fighters. I hadn't seen Faisal in forever. And from the second I saw him, from the second we hugged, from the second we got in his car, and he just drove me to Leicester Shoot Fighters. That's how much time we spent. 20, 30 minutes in the car. And it was like no time had ever passed. And that's one of my litmus tests for friendship, right? That I don't have to be around you all day, and we don't have to talk on the phone and send a bunch of emails to know that the loyalty, love, respect, and honor is in place. All right, and I have a lot of my friends, all of my realist friends. That is a steady thing, right? Maintenance through change, right? Like, you change. Think about how much you've changed through my life. I have changed my religion. I have changed my name. I have changed my philosophies. I've changed my perspective on all politics. And you have to give room for your friends to change as well. Right? Allow them to grow and evolve as you have grown and evolved. And adapting to that change doesn't mean that you lose your core values. This is something that he speaks to. And regular investment in relationship maintenance, right? Just like a romantic relationship, right? If you're not hanging out with your lady enough, things are gonna fade, bro. You gotta know that. Right? And if you can't be around that person that you do care about, that good friend, how can you let them know that you care about them without overdoing it, right? Overextending yourself or demanding something of them, that's extreme, right? Beyond that, what Cicero talks about is what he calls proper dissolution, like when your friendships end, right? End the friendships that become harmful with dignity. This is a thing that I think in today's, especially social media age, like we're always looking to hurt people's feelings. We're always looking to brand them as A, B, or C. And sometimes a friendship just runs its course, right? For whatever reason. It doesn't have to be fault-based, right? And avoid public confrontation or revenge. This is another aspect of social media. A lot of times people be on social media trying to make people look stupid, trying to call people out, trying to mock them or embarrass them online, and things like that. It's not lit. And preserve your worthy memories while accepting the end, right? So like one of my friends that I lost is one who I've been knowing since the 80s. Like I have a lot of fond memories of that person. And at the time, those fond memories actually caused me a lot of pain, because it was like, well, if he was really my homie, how did it end like this? Man, you're not always in control of like how people receive different aspects of you and how you are. And sometimes, man, they're just going through things you never knew about. Never knew about certain times of abuse, never knew about certain experiences that they had that really shaped how they ended up and really impact how they see you, right? And to just kind of put like a stoic icing on this cake from Cicero, let's remember that, when you're thinking about your friends, does this friend make you more or less virtuous? Are they improving you in your character? Are they improving you in your exchanges? Are they improving you in how you see yourself and how you function? If not, it may be not the friendship you think it is. You could have an unrealistic attachment. You went to a show. You learned some of the same things. You guys were in the same grade, and he had to beat up some kid and it all worked out. But you're holding on to that so tight, you don't see that this person has totally changed, or you have totally changed, or the times have totally changed, right? And examine if your attachment to them has become an unhealthy dependency. Sometimes we define ourselves through our friendships too much. And it's like, I was talking about this with Professor Dorian Cartwright over at Half Gracie San Jose when my friendship fell apart with this one dude. And he said something, I'm not saying it right, but I was explaining how much like not having this person as a friend bothered me. And he said, look, you might have went way back with that person, but he said, all old school history isn't good history. Something like that. I totally didn't do it good. When I tell you what he actually said, it was way better than that. But basically he was saying just because they were in your past forever doesn't mean that it's all good. And consider if the relationship serves truth and wisdom. That's a deep thing, right? But you won't know that if you're not clear on how much you are or are not seeking truth and wisdom. Finally, coping with the loss. Accept that all relationships are temporary. That's one of the most frightening things you can ever do. And one of the most liberating, right? Focus on the gratitude for the shared experiences. Just the other day, I had one particular friend who introduced me to 3 people that I'm super close with. But then me and that initial friend fell all the way out, and we're not cool, and we probably won't be cool. But I told these 3 guys, I said, sometimes I think the only reason he was in my life was to introduce me to y'all. Sometimes that happens, right? Like you have a friend, you're hella tight, they introduce you to other people, and then the person who introduced you, for whatever reason, you're not around them no more. It happens rarely, but it happens, right? And remember that your happiness cannot depend on others. That's not it. Your happiness needs to be self-sustaining. You know who first said that out loud to me? It wasn't that I hadn't read it in Buddhism or Confucianism. It wasn't that I hadn't read it in Islam or the Bible. But when I heard Rizza, where were we? I think he was speaking at the Commonwealth Club in San Francisco. And he talked about he said, your happiness cannot depend on other people. And I truly could not comprehend what he was talking about. And that was that codependent thing. Because so much of my identity, because I didn't have brothers and sisters, was invested in who I thought my friends were, right? And finally, through the Stoic lens, you want to use the loss as an opportunity for growth and self-sufficiency. So if this person was someone who made you feel more brave, go study bravery. Go read books about bravery. Go get therapy and ask your therapist, how can you challenge yourself to be more brave, right? Within yourself and for yourself, right? If they made you feel happy, right? You can investigate what makes you happy and go seek to cultivate that within yourself, right? So I hope you enjoyed this. Shout out to Ross. If you have a question for me, message me on IG at Bishop Chronicles. Ask me a serious question, all right? Don't be a weirdo. I'm not doing anything that deals with sex and stuff, obviously, because that's not what I'm here for, all right? You go take that to all the other people on IG. I'm here for real questions and answers, all right? And I'll talk to you soon, all right? Holla at a scholar. Shout out IMA Leads for having me through to teach a guest class, and shout out to Leicester Shoot Fighters, all right, for inviting me up. I had a great time. If you want a seminar, I did this thing called The History of the Half Guard, where I take you from like the mid-90s when Gordo starts dropping it to some ideas that I discovered among myself while rolling in the 2000s over at the Charles Gracie Academy, and then into the 2000s with Eddie Bravo and the lockdown and some other stuff. So if you're into jiu-jitsu, like I'm into jiu-jitsu, holla at a scholar, you know what I'm saying? If you want a stoic talk, come on, man. You know what it is. Holler at your boy. And I'll talk to you soon. Stay blessed, stay stoic. Peace.